What's up, everybody? The Doctor is in. Michael Perrotti here, joined by Panda Global's Nakkiel. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. It's EVO Sunday. Lots of action has happened. Dragon Ball obviously was yesterday. What did you think of the top 8?
I thought it was actually a really good watch. I was really happy with the level of play the players showed. I thought everyone was playing very well. And even though I didn't personally make it, I wasn't really thinking about that during the top 8, you know, like, oh man, I wish I had made it, got up there. I was just actually really enjoying the matches. I think they were all really, really good.
That Sonic Fox Goichi
doubleheader? Of course, yeah, of course. Winners Finals and Grand Finals were both really good. But even then, some of the other matches were definitely worth watching. So I think if anybody only caught Winners Finals and Grand Finals, they should watch all the top 8 for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it was pretty exciting. You know, we had Shanks making a very deep run, making it to top 4, and a couple other players just doing some very surprising things, I thought. Yeah,
Shanks actually took me out of the tournament when we played our match in the morning in top 32 losers. So I was like kind of frustrated I lost, but I was also like, he played super well. He definitely played better than I did, and he continued to do so clearly because he got 4th. I think it was.
Yeah, I believe it was 4th.
Yeah, he got 4th place. So really happy for him too, especially because it looked like he was disappointed at CEO when he made it into the top 8, but he got 7th. So
and so EVO, obviously a saga event for the Dragon Ball World Tour. The winner, Goichi, does get a guaranteed spot in the finals, and it kind of opens up the floor, I think, a little bit for more points people, because he was running away points-wise so hard that now, we can kind of just take him out of that equation.
Well, I mostly think everyone pretty much figured he'd qualify already, so I don't think anyone was too worried about how many points he had accrued. The other thing is that the winners of the saga events do still get points because they're using them for seeding purposes too. So even if you win and you're already qualified, you get a sizable amount of points as well.
I believe EVO was 500 points for
so
first.
The thing with the point system is they said how much it was.
Yeah.
But the actual leaderboard is not matching.
It's not updated as of today because I was.
Well, no, it is updated, but it's the amount of points they're giving out is different from what the official listing was. So it's a little weird. I think it was the very, very original point listing that they had listed, but then they had updated it to a higher number.
Okay,
and then they were
that makes
sense.
sense.
No, never mind.
Because I was looking at it.
We said in the first place. So a lot of people have been confused. Is something wrong? Is the site broken?
Yeah, because I looked it up this morning. You were according to the leaderboard, you were at 15 points. And according to the rules and the point system, you should be getting an additional 15 for where you placed here this weekend.
Yeah, so I think I'm at 85 total now because I also got points from CEO.
Okay, so based off the new point system, 85.
Maybe. I'm somewhere on there. I haven't looked today,
it's a
but
very fair,
I'll look when I get home.
Confusion there, basically. But so this year is very different tour-wise from last year. Last year, you had 7 Dragon Ball events. Kazunoko obviously winning the lion's share there. But this year, very different. And I know a lot of the players gave their feedback at the end of last year. Are you happy with what they came back this year with?
It's much better this year. I can't really say I
7-man LCQ.
Definitely wasn't a fan of last year's format at all, from multiple standpoints. One was just the gatekeeping, the easy ability to gatekeep. Even in a point system, you can gatekeep. You could theoretically lose a match on purpose, so that you could go into losers and stop somebody from getting points. There's no system, in my opinion, that's perfect. But last year it was painfully easy to gatekeep, and you would see Kazunoko going to events,
and you'd be
qualified,
oh man,
purely to just win it.
Yeah, and then he gets the Dragon Ball. Nobody else gets the Dragon Ball because they didn't give it to the second place. And then the problem with
that was also that when that spot was taken, it made another LCQ spot, so we wound up with the 12-hour LCQ.
Yeah, we had four separate individual single elim, not even because. Granted, they physically would not have been able to do a double because of just how many games.
Yeah, single elim was just man, but they also don't have another choice. I think the other problem though was that the venue was it was no water. You're you can't bring in water, and then they ran out of water, and I was just this is just this sucks. First of all, and two, like it's actually kind of like dangerous, right?
Yeah, obviously, you know, we had the recent unfortunate situation with Defend the North.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's been a couple other events where people are saying, you know, there wasn't any water, it's just too hot. You know, this summer here in the States has been pretty bad. And so, I mean, situations like that, like you said, are very dangerous.
Yeah. And it's just like, it wasn't like painfully hot at LCQ, but when you're having like your adrenaline going for like 10 hours, it does definitely help a lot. You're dehydrated, you know. It was warm enough where you would start sweating, especially from like stress. And
if you're in your top 4 LCQ spots single LM, and you're like, if I lose now, I have to go through the entire bracket again. Like that's horrible. That's no fun at all.
It was also fun. It was rough because I was in one of the grand finals for one of them, and the actual like second I had lost the grand finals,
they called you.
Even if you were watching on the stream, you could hear them call my name. They're like, yeah, report to your match. I was like, I don't even have like 20 seconds to take a break.
Yeah, I literally unplugged from this console,
plug my stick, and they're like, Nakkiel, come report to your pool. I was just like, this is brutal. Like, so there's no time to like kind of like de-stress.
Think about like what happened.
Try to recollect yourself. It was just like, just go.
So thankfully, they've completely done away with that. We do now have a single LCQ that I don't remember if they've announced the format of.
I believe it will. Whatever it is, it'll probably be at the day before.
Yeah,
the actual
standard.
So
LCQ
we may have like a
event.
2-day event this year instead of a 1-day event. But then overall,
it is in Paris.
Yes, it's
which
in Paris.
Should be interesting. From other esports, Paris fans are very good. You know, they're very hyped. So I think that should be a very fun event for. But you know, the tour started kind of late. You know, not a lot of communication. Combo Breaker being the first one.
No,
CEO. Sorry, which was similar to last year, but it was also a pretty last-minute call. You know, what was it? A week or two before the event? They're like, by the way,
CEO was. I think it was about 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time. I had already known it was going to be an event, so when people asked me, I was kind of just saying, like, just go to CEO. Like, yo, when's the tour starting? I was like, just go to CEO,
I mean,
right?
people say go to CEO anyway.
It's also, like, it's such a big tournament that it only makes sense for it to wind up being a tour event, especially in America. It's like, what other choice do you have besides, like, EVO and Combo Breaker, which had already passed, right? Those are the 3, like, biggest tournaments of the year in the States. So I was just trying to encourage people, like, hey, like, if you want to be a part of the tour and you want to be at the first event,
definitely
you
go to CEO.
You know, I'm trying to encourage people to go to CEO. The thing is that with Dragon Ball, I'm sure a lot of people know about it now, but like obviously licensing is a hard issue for them.
Bit of a tricky
and
subject.
Events also official events require licensing approval. So a lot of the delayed announcement stuff. The worst one was VSF, was versus fighting.
Yeah, that was literally like
1
6 days before.
Yes, it was 1 week. Registration had already closed. Actually, they reopened registration.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
To let people enter for the tour event. So it was 1 week notice, if even that. And a lot of people were really unhappy about that because it was like, well, like, my team didn't even want to send me, right? Like, I'm taken care of. Like, I get sent to things.
There's a lot of players that aren't in that
same
spot.
No, it's still too close, right? So, like, how is somebody who is not with a team or not paid to play or they're not taken care of, like, how in the world are they supposed to make that if I can't make it?
I mean, it's very difficult. And, I mean, even, you know, getting to certain events ahead of schedule, like knowing about it can still be rough a lot of times for players who aren't sponsored or paying their own way. You know, the My Wallet sponsorship has been seen, you know, multiple times through the years. But it seems like they took the feedback from Versus Fighting, from CEO, and are trying to work on it. You know, they've announced, you know, Celtic Throwdown and then the Australian event.
We had
Couch
about
Warriors?
that's on the same weekend.
I did see that.
I didn't really like that too much because, like, a lot of people so the issue I have with the tour right now, despite the fact that a point system is much better than last year, is also that the points don't scale with event size.
Because it's just the Tenkaichi events and the Saga events.
It's just like the event happens, and no matter how many people are there, the point layout is the same.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone already signed up for Ireland. Everyone already planned for Ireland. So if you go to Australia,
it's a bit easier.
It's, well, you know, it's theoretically much easier to amass more points at Australia than it is Ireland. So then it creates a situation where, like, if you're not sponsored or something like that, it's like, well, you're just kind of locked in. right? But then for like the sponsored players, it's like, okay, like do I
bail on Celtic?
Do I bail at a Celtic Throwdown and try to go to Australia, or like what do I do here? Like what's the move here? For me, I'm gonna go to Celtic Throwdown because it's a 6-hour flight compared to like 22 to 27 hours of traveling.
Yeah, sleeping
which I did
is
last
pretty
year.
nice.
Which I did last year, which was in December, right before LCQs.
That sounds miserable.
It's the longest I had ever flown, and probably the longest I will ever fly. Because it was like, with the layover, it wound up the transit time was about 28 hours each way.
That's
so
rough.
It was like I actually would just lose an entire day, like just on a plane.
Yeah, because you cross the time zone line too, right? Yeah. So you're that's probably closer to like 2 days then, almost, right?
It's backwards though. The time is backwards, so I would technically only lose like 12 hours or something.
But your body's like, nah, man.
Like, I'm in a plane for an entire day. I was just like, this sucks. I can't sleep on planes either. I'm like, I can't get comfortable. Too tall. You probably know that feeling.
I was basically spooning the guy in front of me on my flight out. So I splurged on my flight home this weekend, and I'm gonna get even more space. So I don't have to.
I flew
hopefully,
JetBlue here too. I was like waiting in line.
thing.
I just instantly bought it. I was like $70. Like,
see, it was 100 for me. So
Oh,
I'm like,
longer flight,
I'll
probably.
sacrifice it going out and just come back. Yeah, I'm from
Yeah.
Boston, so it's a 5-hour flight.
really? Mine was a 5-hour flight too. I don't know. I got lucky, I guess.
I don't know. But so, you talk about point scaling. So would you prefer something like the Tekken Dojo events where it's just straight up based upon entrance?
Out of possible layouts for fighting games, I think Tekken right now is doing it the absolute best.
And they're getting rewarded for it.
Yeah, and
they're
growing.
popping off.
They're growing, which is very rare for a fighting game. If
Post-release.
a lot of people are like newer to the FGC, like especially with EVO, like especially with Dragon Ball, right? Like most new games have these huge booms first year, right? At EVO, everyone signs up, especially with like Street Fighter 5,
4K entrance.
had 5.
Oh,
It had
5
5 the first year. Yeah, it had 5 the first year. It had a ton of DQs at EVO, right? Because it was like announced before it came out.
Yeah.
So Sam Show also
signed
did
up.
that this year. I think Mortal Kombat was also announced before release. I'm not sure.
Yes, it was. Yeah. And so Mortal Kombat.
So like
and
everybody
Dragon
gets
Ball
like
are
these new
close.
game hype releases, and they want to sign up for EVO, which is like the most prestigious tournament in the world. But then it's like they don't go, or they start
forget about
playing
it.
it, and they're like, I don't actually like this game, so I'm just going to DQ.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just not going to show up for my pool. So you usually have slightly too heavily inflated numbers. And then a year later, right, people have had all the experience with the game. The games have developed more. They've had one or multiple patches or whatever. And so you commonly see like almost 50% drop off.
Which Dragon Ball had almost exactly.
We had over. We had about
because it went from 25 to 12.
25 to 6. It was like 25 something.
Yeah.
And we had about 1,200 this year.
Yeah.
So for me, like the entire time I was expecting it.
It makes sense.
I was like, it's first year. I've been playing for like 11 years. I've seen this happen like for multiple games. And then there's people that are new to the community, and they're just like, oh my god, the game's dying. The game's dead.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like,
a lot
fighting
of
games
that.
just have bad player retention in general.
Because they're
right?
tough, man.
They're
Like,
hard.
It's hard to go to your local
They're
and just
hard.
get
A lot of them
whopped.
don't have easy access to like learn the game.
No, not at all.
Right? Like the tutorials usually kind of suck.
Like this year I played Street Fighter tutorial, even though I'd already been playing it for a little bit. I was like, maybe I'll learn something new, and it was kind of jank. And then I did not do Dragon Ball tutorial at all, so I don't even know what that one looks like. But then
It's bad.
I tried the Eunice
It's pretty
one.
bad.
So it's amazing because it's literally step by step. It's
Yes.
like hit A 3 times for your combo, hit B twice, C once, and it's like, all right, this is dope. But it felt really long. Like going through like even just like the literal basics took me probably like a half hour or longer, and so it is very time consuming, not just difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like the thing about the Eunice thing is you can also see that community growing. I think that's because the community's like they're really consistent, right?
Yeah, and they got the big boom this year.
They're consistent. The game's, objectively, like it's not a bad game or anything like that. I don't like enjoy playing it myself. I'm not gonna say I dislike the game. It's just not my cup of tea. Not really all that fun to me. Right? I know a lot of people love the game, but even like the intermediate and like the advanced tutorials in the game actually teach you like actual fighting game concepts.
Yeah,
right.
like,
or they attempt to. A lot of the other tutorials, they just kind of just like, just go play online, right?
Yeah.
And like
get mollywopped for
just destroying
a while.
you. You have no idea what's going on. You didn't even know that dude could do that, right? Which is like the sense of wonder that a lot of people get when they start fighting games, but when the game doesn't help you like actually advance
at all,
like in any way whatsoever, like it's really hard to actually keep somebody around because fighting games don't have any microtransactions, right?
No.
We don't have like costumes or skins or stuff like that.
Street Fighter 5. But no, you're right. And I mean, kind of the message there is if you want to, like, if you really want to be good and stuff like that, go to your locals.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you how much I've improved simply just by going to my local.
Yeah. Well, some people like
but it's
aren't
tough.
around
It's
in an area where
anxious.
there is a local, right? And then like our online experience for most games are pretty poor.
Yeah, I mean, my local's an hour away.
Like
and that's close.
Even Dragon Ball, I think the net play is god awful. Like I don't even think you're playing the game.
No, that's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
At a certain point in delay, it's like you just can't react to stuff. Like
Dragon
your
Rush?
decision making just becomes like
It's
a
different.
mess. It's just different. Right? Like there's ranges where it's just like, okay, I can't do anything anymore, which offline would not happen at all. You'd have answers. So it's like characters are stronger, weaker, or whatever. And I think you can get stronger online, but it's unnecessarily difficult. And it could be a lot better if like Japanese game developers would stop using delay net code for once. And if we even just had better internet infrastructure.
Yeah, it's pretty bad in America. But so you mentioned stronger, weak characters. Dragon Ball did have a new character come out a couple months ago. Good Times Goku. Very early on, you were like, this character is whack. You released a video like a week later, and you're like, EX Rasengan's like -5, which is plus.
Yeah,
like he's plus 100 million after Genki Dama. Like, this character is whack.
Yeah, I was like sitting there, and I was just like, they like said they didn't want certain things in the game by way of like nerfing them out of the game, right?
Yeah.
And they're just like, let's just kind of throw it onto him, right? Like the level 3 Oki, which is like Spirit Bomb, right?
It's so good.
Granted, his neutrals, like, it is a little lacking. Like against like the other top tier characters, like he does kind of struggle in neutral. The EX ball is like it's pretty ignorant. But at least it costs a bar, I guess.
Yeah,
and he needs an assist after it. So
and they're still running. We still obviously have the meter delay after using a meter. So I mean, yeah, you can be degenerate and just EX
the
ball
funny
in.
thing about bringing that up though is that like after one of the problems with his level 3 knockdown with Spirit Bomb is that like the meter cooldown starts ticking as he's coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you have like an entire like 2 seconds after you get hit by the super.
Yeah,
his meter cooldown actually already started. You're not even up. You're not even getting up yet.
So by the time
the thing
he
that
Dragon
happens is,
Rushes
like, if you actually get hit by the mix-up, he builds enough meter to kill you
again.
Yeah, he doesn't. He builds like an extra bar, but if you like optimize like pretty much any starter in the Spirit Bomb and then optimize your mix-up, like you two touch everybody, like no matter what.
It's fair and balanced.
It's like. Okay, and then the other thing about him is his assist is incredible.
So good because it's angled, it forces you to the ground, and it covers pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's like an angle that's really important in Dragon Ball.
Yeah, because most beams you just jump over.
Most beams you jump over. Air movement's pretty good. You have super dash. You can float. Right, when you super jump, if you like hold up, you actually float up in the air longer. You can hold down and drag yourself down to the ground faster. And then not even is it just generally good, it's also really, really strong against specific characters. Like Ginyu just gets crushed by that assist.
Yeah, because he's trying
anything, and you just call the beam. You wipe the screen, it covers like the angle of like it covers pretty much every summon he has.
Except for
like,
maybe Birder.
No, it kills Birder.
Yeah.
Birder's like sitting there dashing up across the screen. You just call the beam, it just nukes him off the screen. Zamasu has a lot of trouble with it because he wants to fly around. Broly also has a lot of trouble with it just because he's so big that like if he's standing full screen, the beam actually touches him still. So it also is like, wow, like I normally can't win this matchup, but if I just put GT Goku as an assist on my team, like all of a sudden, like it's totally fine. Which I think is fine to happen in team games, and I wanted some stronger assists in the game, but right now there's like still such a small number
that we kind of
it feels like really exacerbated that he has this such a good assist, and he's such a strong point character. So it's just like, why would you not play him? Right?
Yeah,
he just feels like another character that's like a necessity.
Yeah, and so no patch obviously with GT Goku. They did say one patch a year, and so I know people keep asking me, did they announce a patch at EVO? They obviously did not, but we do get Janemba on the 8th.
Yeah.
Which
I'm expecting him to be pretty bad because I was watching his I was like, he looks way too cool.
He's too cool. He has to be garbage.
Too cool. So like the good characters in this game are like Kid Buu and Bardock, and I don't think they're cool at all anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm sick of them, but it's like
Kid Buu. They can't keep him down. What do you?
So the reason characters are good in Dragon Ball is like they have options.
And Kid Buu just has them all.
And so until you actually remove options, which is always like
it's really hard to do.
It feels bad to nerf a character that way, right?
Yeah, like coming from MOBAs. Like
so what they keep doing with him is they keep making the options like feel worse to use, but they're still there, so it doesn't matter. Like he still has the option, so he is still strong because he can do more things than other characters. And in Dragon Ball, like the game is more or less pretty straightforward, like on a surface to like intermediate level. And so just like the other thing is that his neutral is just
very good.
Insane. He has an answer for everything. He has an option in neutral always. His ground control is incredible. The other thing is that he forces like a lot of rock paper scissors situations because of his tool set.
Just because he can.
Yeah.
Like why would you not?
Even if he's like slightly negative, it's like okay, like if I do this to beat like these two things, like this other thing like destroys me, right? And I just die. So it's kind of frustrating to deal with stuff like that. But really, like one of the only things they could do is actually just make the option so bad it's unusable, or just take it away.
And neither of those options are
they don't feel good to do, right? Like normally when you are like nerfing or buffing something, like you don't want to make the character like not play
feel
like they
not
always
good,
did, right? The other thing though is he's been that good for like a year and a half, so like come on, right?
Just get him out of here.
Bardock's been like top 3 since he got put out. People were like, "Oh, he's top 5," but like he was even better before than he is now. Like other characters were strong, yes, but I think some other characters like got to kind of cruise under the radar a little bit because people were worried about like Cell.
When you have a
Kid Buu,
set, S plus tier,
Kid Buu, because he was better as well. Like that character was insane. But there's also other characters that a lot of people took a while to realize, like, well, they're really not very fair. Like,
because when
Gotenks, like nobody played Gotenks when the game came out.
Nobody plays Gotenks now because GT Goku.
They also nerfed him to. They nerfed all the reasons that he was like extremely good.
The time's out after 30 minutes, so I just want to make sure we were still good. But Gotenks, they took away a lot of his pressure and they took away his 50-50.
Mix-ups, yeah. So it's like at a high level, like if you consider like the top 8 that you just watched, like you're not likely to open up any of the players in top 8 with Gotenks anymore.
No. Like, and I mean that's not a bad thing because character diversity is something I talked to some other people about this weekend for other games like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and they're very diverse, very different. In your top 8 you have like 6 or 7 different characters, but here in Dragon Ball we have very similar, and I mean it's still a versus game, so that happens.
Yeah, I think it's just the design of the games is that like in a 1v1 game you can get away with just like, wow, I love this character a lot, I'm just gonna get really strong with them. But in something like Dragon Ball,
you can only do that 1 out of 3,
game, right? It's like you are actually affecting your like the actual composition of your team by only picking characters you like instead of characters that are good. Because maybe like because it's basically they have like extra attacks in the assists, right? So like, if your team support is bad, like you actually just get crushed in neutral, like you can't do anything because you don't have assist power. And it's like the characters that have the best assists, like
also happen to do good things.
Also, they all happen to be like really strong characters. So like, if you don't want to play them, like you're actually hurting yourself a lot.
Yeah,
right?
I mean you can play for fun.
You can come in the situation more commonly in a versus game than you usually do in a 1v1 fighter, where like the other player actually just doesn't have to interact with you.
Yeah.
Like especially if you've lost a character, you've actually lost part of your team. You've lost an option. which is not what happens in 1v1 games.
No, you just lose.
You get comboed like, oh, I just lost life. Now I have to block
Do it
a little
again.
bit. You didn't actually lose an option. You didn't lose a normal.
Yeah, that's actually
right. So
true.
like when you lose a character in a versus game, you actually you became weaker.
Just inherently, yeah.
Right.
And so it
Inherently,
can
you
kind of
became
snowball down.
Yes. So like when people get like destroyed in versus games, they're just like, wow, that was free. It's like, well, like there's different context to it than a 1v1 game. It's like when you are losing, you are actively becoming weaker as you lose. So when you wind up in like a 3v1 situation, it's like this is much, much, much harder than in a 3v3 situation, obviously.
Yeah, and obviously it does happen.
I can't even
but
force this person to
Yeah.
like defend, right? They can just run away from me until their assists are back.
you get one block string, and then you
It's
have
like
to end
might,
it.
And in Dragon Ball, you might not even have a mix-up anymore.
Yeah, because your
Right, 'cause
character
you're
might
alone.
be designed around having
Yeah,
that lockdown
so-
assist. So
So it's
very
like the
difficult.
context is very different, like in the manner that you can lose in versus games in general.
Versus, yeah.
Than something like Street Fighter or BlazBlue or Guilty Gear. Well,
So-
old BlazBlue Tag is
Yeah.
team game now,
Obviously.
but
So final question. We do know all the characters for season 2. We get Janemba on Tuesday. We get Gogeta coming soon, TM, and then we have Brawly
unannounced.
probably like December.
I think it'll take a while.
But so,
Obviously, like, just like trying to leave the opinion out of it, but it is I believe it is because the English voice actor is being changed.
yeah,
That would make
I mean,
that's what makes. I don't actually know that, but that's what makes sense.
that
to
seems
me.
to be the general consensus
Because
of why.
it's like, they're patching out the Fire Emblem character and everything. Funimation was like publicly, yeah, we're not working with this person anymore. And so voice acting work actually takes a few
Very
months.
long
Yeah,
time,
it usually
yeah.
takes a while. So I think they probably wanted Broly out a lot
With
sooner,
Gogeta.
but they're changing the voice work is my assumption. So it's gonna
Yeah.
that's it. He was probably delayed.
Yeah. So the question was, would you rather see a season 3 with what we have here, maybe one more big patch, or are we going Dragon Ball Fighters RD or whatever?
I would like a new game personally, because usually when they do new seasons, is the game mechanics don't change too much. So I would like, my preference would be, I'd be happy with a new season, obviously, but my preference would be a new game, a new Dragon Ball Fighters game. That way they can kind of like, I guess, have more justification to kinda
change some
to
things?
change some things up.
Super Dash.
I think at a high level, like
It's not that big.
It
a
doesn't
deal.
bother me too much. I would like it if you didn't keep your air options on block.
No,
So
that's
if you
totally
super dash
fair.
at somebody and
And
they
then you
block
just
it, like you should just
fall.
You should be able to block on your way down, but like you shouldn't be able to like RPS with the other player. It's really annoying. I think that's probably the worst feeling thing about super dash to me, and just in high level in general. But then the other thing is like, I just like to see them like make a bit more of actual interactive defensive mechanics. I think the defensive mechanics in the game right now are actually really good.
Especially with
but-
the new Sparking Blast, yeah.
Yeah. They're like borderline frustrating to deal with. Like when you knock somebody down and they have like 70 different ways to tech, and then they have like a free frame one
Get out of jail.
reflect on wake up, right? Reflect is actually extremely good.
Rip Vidal.
But yeah, right. I think a lot of people like don't understand how powerful that is, but it's also like when you're already blocking, you don't have as many options. Like they made guard cancel like really easy to use.
But it can be very disastrous.
But the other thing is that like when they buff that, you still don't have an option when you get snapped,
True.
which is by far the worst situation in the game, which I think is probably intentional and is fine. But I think it causes games to like get out of hand like really fast.
That's fair. I can definitely
And
see a world.
so I just like if there was like something more interactive in the game. Like even a lot of the thing I usually suggest, like if people that watch my stream are watching, is like I usually say like I would really like if they had like if they put guard cancel back to the way it used to be, like 2 patches ago, right?
Yeah.
Where it was like you could get hit out of it when you're coming in. Because that way it's like if you want to tag out your character and get their blue life back, it's actually difficult to use. And then, right, you add in like a reflect for like a bar.
Yeah, so you
out
do
of
like
block stun. So it's like push block, right?
okay, yeah.
In a way, it's like push block, but it costs meter. And that way you can always use that option. You can always use it. Even if you get snapped, right, you still have the option because it's a solo
just-
option.
Yeah, you just get out.